And welcome YouTube to the Daily Space Weather, the main feature of the Smash News Network, least busted David Dews. And yeah, we got some extreme close-ups that you may have come to expect from the channel. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let's get to it. We'll also be talking coronal mass ejections, a cosmic ray update, and lots more. So we've got some active regions rising here. There was a coronal mass ejection. That's the last 24 hours. Let's check out the last 24 hours in composite here, as we see a spectacular CME there off to the southeast. If you're wondering if it's earthly directed, well, the answer is no. We will also be featuring your chats on screen. So if you do have a comment, please leave one. Thanks for leaving a comment. TV Thora Sailing. All right, so let's get to it here. That's the last 24 hours from the Soho Lasco C2. Also, SDO 304 plus 171 angstroms. And let's take a look at sunspots. So there's yesterday plus today on the SDO intensity gram. We've got a dip in sunspot number as some sunspots have set in the west. Mostly stable there, a little bit of umbral growth there around sunspot 3112 right there. Here you can see some migration of magnetic fields happening on the SDO colorized magnetogram for yesterday plus today. Likelihood of solar flares remains kind of high. They've been underperforming. Now let's take a brief look at volcanoes here, as we do daily on the videos. Nishinoshima continues to erupt 10,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Sakurajima, 6,000-foot ash plume from Sakurajima. Subanosejima exploded as well. Unknown volcanic ash cloud there. Popocatépetl, down there in central Mexico, exploding, flight level 200. Nevado del Ruiz, exploding, flight level 210. It's a 21,000-foot ash plume over Colombia. Headed to Ecuador, we see two usual suspects, Sangay and Revenador. 21,000-foot ash plume over Sangay, 15,000-foot ash plume over Revenador. They're both exploding. Sabancaya exploding as well. Intermittent emissions produced a 22,000-foot plume of volcanic ash, flight level 220. Nevados de Chilean, although no emission is detected, please do not pole vault the caldera. Which brings me to today's featured product, which is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. It's our third best seller on the Redbubble shop. You can find links below the video, as well as on our homepage, so make sure you visit that as well at smashomash.com. Thanks to everybody who's supported the channel over the years. And remember, folks, it's a Winston Churchill quote quoted regularly on the channel. If you're going through hell, keep going. Yes, our finest days lie ahead, so don't come up with a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're visiting a volcano, leave that vault pole at home. Don't pole vault the caldera. We need the views on YouTube. And thanks for all of the comments, viewers. We will put those on the screen here momentarily. Again, if you visit the links below the video, you'll find the Redbubble shop. They'll be in order of best selling. And of course, I'm not only Smash-O-Mash, but I'm also a client. And of course, I have to wear the product. So today I'm wearing the Universum Liberate product. It's the Active Tea, if you're wondering which product specifically it is. It's the Active Tea. Check it out, Universum Liberate, the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. So again, visit the homepage, support us via clicks. Thanks to everybody who has. We are writing a publication to plausibly explain the mechanism underlying the solar sunspot and solar polar field reversal cycles. We are still on Patreon as well, by the way. So make sure you check us out over there at smashomash.com/smashteam and at the homepage at smashomash.com. You can find a whole bunch of links there, like a permanent link to our Discord chat. Another link you can find there on the homepage is the link to ShoreMed. Are you improving your health? Well, perhaps do so through a ShoreMed membership. It's not insurance. It's an association membership with a nonprofit organization known as the American Better Health Organization. focused on improving the health of its members. Improve your health through doctors by phone, virtual veterinarians, discounts on dental of 15 to 50%, vision discounts. Try the retail and mail order pharmacy to save some cash that way. It's worth it just for the doctors by phone. It also gives you access to group insurance only available to SureMed members. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, do so via the Smash Team at smashomash.com/SmashTeam. Join at the gold or silver level. The best value is the gold annual paid-up subscription, as it includes complimentary merch. And don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks to all of our YouTube viewers. And thanks for leaving comments. Let's scroll through those. Thanks. SV Thora Sailing and Nay B and Robert LaFollette and Kate Brimmer and Mama Sarita and Mike Bordages and Anime India and Julie Myers. Cheers. Welcome to our rare live space weather YouTube exclusive. Next, looking at global seismicity, the largest quake of the past 24 was a 5.7 magnitude at the Pacific Antarctic Ridge. Right there. This is the past 90 days in a convenient bar graph form. So that's the largest quake of 5.7. It's been pretty calm here. No major quakes over the past 24 hours. There was also a 5.2 near Greece there. I believe that one was in the Mediterranean. A brief earthquake rundown. Some small quakes continue to happen in the Caribbean there. Continuing on, back to space. So here's some composite imagery from SDO. That is 335 plus 94 angstroms. And because we ran so late today, we decided to do a live video instead of watching the uploaded video with you, the viewer. Once again, thanks for leaving comments. So we've got the spectacular imagery, the most detailed you'll find anywhere of the closest star, as well as the most detailed space weather content anywhere in the world. If that wasn't enough, here's a close-up. That's 171 plus 304 angstroms, two of the house favorite wavelengths from SDO. It's part of the extreme ultraviolet spectrum, two specific spikes, ionized helium, and a species of ionized iron. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux has, I believe it's come down to 157. 157 solar flux units. There's the 1 year chart to put that in context. It's the black line. And you can see how proportional that is to the sunspot number, which is the red line below it. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest. I would say we're going to see sometime in between here and here. Sometime in this range. Expecting to see a CME impact. I guess nobody else in the world forecasted it. I don't know if they were asleep. They didn't see it. They just missed it. It was too stealthy. I don't know. But there's a CME coming late in the day on the 10th, possibly up until midday on the 11th. We'll see what happens. We'll look for a signal. At the moment, we're still seeing a high-speed coronal hole wind stream. So here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Perfect time to take a sip of my cocoa and cayenne pepper infused Colombian organic. That'll hit you right in the face. Yeah, good times. The last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. And here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Also the last 4 hours. We are seeing some increased auroral activity. Now, if you're familiar with the Space Weather Modeling Framework, the Space Weather Prediction Center, excuse me, this video is of the Space Weather Modeling Framework, and this page is located on the Space Weather Prediction Center. So that's showing you the most likely places for aurora, power line induction, rail line, and pipeline induction. its Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll actually find the Auroral Forecast. So right there's a 30-minute Auroral Forecast. Let's check that out. Give that a minute to load. And this will show you the most likely places for aurora. Now you can also use nullschool.net for that. We'll show you that later in the video at the transition from space to Earth weather. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. Must be quite a few viewers today. And congratulations, folks. Monetization's back, which means you get to see ads, and we are incentivized to put the videos on YouTube. It's taking a while to load here. Just give it a minute. There we go. So there is the 30-minute auroral forecast. It looks like it's just increased here recently. And if you've got any imagery of auroras or videos, make sure you share it with us on Twitter or perhaps Instagram, but especially Twitter. We will share it. We're part of a huge, vast space weather community over there. So KP is close to 4 here. 3.67 is the planetary K index at the moment. Just this side of geomagnetic unrest, which would occur at KP4. So it is all because of a heightened solar wind speed. It's recently just increased a bit here, along with the plasma temperature. Current conditions are about 580 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density, about 11.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Let's get into the magnetic data. There are the GOES magnetometers. Pretty spiky there. A common thing to see during coronal hole high-speed streams. And here's the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Check it out. The north solar polar field is shrinking, at least migrating away from the polar region there. So we've been showing this for a while on the channel. You can see it right there at the end of the video. You can see it shrinking, indicating that it is commencing its field reversal process. It's been behind the south solar polar field, which has entirely left the south heliographic region. Here's the line of sight field plot showing the sun's B field in blue and the solar magnetogram solar polar fields in red and green. And let's move to coronal holes. What evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes? Well, high-speed solar wind streams like the one we're seeing now. There's protons coming out of them there holes, and coronal holes are like low-pressure systems, folks. The thing about stellar low-pressure systems is that they're so low that they are blasting protons out into space. Unlike earthly low-pressure systems, stellar low-pressure systems are pretty rowdy. Anyway, we've got South Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating here in behind sunspot 3112. So you can see those right up there. They'll become more and more well-defined here in the coming days. And let me get to your comments here before we move on. I see some lengthy comments. Let's let them all scroll once again for all of you viewers who've tuned in late. Thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. Who are the Packers playing today? Nay. Must be some team I dislike, but I know it's not the Patriots. My least favorite team of all teams in the world. They're like the U.S. Postal Service cycling team, but of football. All right, what do we have here? What do we have? Making a crock pot of chili. That sounds pretty nice. We're making some guacamole today as a side for whatever else we have. I'm not sure. I doubt we'll see aurora in Tennessee. Oh, the New York Giants. They're not a threat. The Eagles are way too good for that. Anyway, let's move to sunspots. Now that we've covered coronal holes. So here's the sunspot scenario. I don't think we have any new sunspot groups here at the moment. These active regions, we don't see any umbrae there, at least when we did show prep. Let's move into some imagery. So here's the SDO magnetogram for the past 24 hours. We'll also show the SDO continuum. It looks like there might be some growth happening there in sunspot 3112. The fields look like they were increasing in size there a little bit. I'm not sure. The trailing umbrae definitely are migrating a little bit. There's some umbral migration happening around here as well. We've got some additional close-ups here. Spectacular imagery, as we do most days. Wow, 20 viewers. That's more than we typically see during our live premieres. So normally these videos are streamed to Twitch, twitch.tv/smashomash. Perhaps install the mobile app. It'll actually let you know when we go live. This is 1600 angstroms SDO, by the way. That's ionized carbon. And all those white spots there, those white areas, those are areas that are very high in ionized carbon on the surface of the closest star. Imagine how many high-end bicycles could be made from all of that carbon, folks. Once again, that's the last 24 hours. And let's do our cosmic ray update here. We haven't done cosmic rays for a while. And check it out. We see flat levels there at DOMB Antarctica. So DOMB Antarctica showing flat cosmic ray flux profile over the past 30 days. DOMC Antarctica showing a tiny uptick in the past 30 days. By the way, this is the cosmic ray station of the University of Oulu. And then, last but not least, Oulu itself, a little uptick there at Oulu as well. Now, heading way back down south to Mexico City, a little uptick there at Mexico City as well over the past 30 days. That's always interesting. Next, a little farther north and east to Greece, Athens, Greece. There's the Athens neutron monitor. And a little, that's pretty flat there at Athens, I think. Flat at Athens. And now headed back north to Apatity and Barentsburg. Significant uptick there at Apatity. For the past 30, that's this one right here. And a significant uptick there at Barentsburg as well. So a minor uptick there in cosmic ray flux overall, folks, over the past 30 days. And if you want to look at these data yourself, a good choice is this one here, links to cosmic ray data. That's got all the ones that we view on the channel. If you just type in links to cosmic ray data in your favorite search engine, you should find this Russian site. There's Mexico, there's Oulu. There are some others that we don't typically use, but you'll find Apatity in Athens and Greece and so on. Now looking at relativistic particles detected by the GO-16, and we ain't got none. The proton flux here remains flatlined. So no relativistic particles. Flaring has been pretty minor here. Only C-class flares. Really a C-class background level of X-ray output from the closest star here, at least on the earthly side. And here are some views. Some more spectacular imagery here for you on this YouTube exclusive. So there's 94 angstroms. Here's a close-up of that. Good times. Sunspot 3112, I believe the most impressive sunspot of the entire solar cycle 25 so far. Here's that same view in 335 plus 131 angstroms. And we'll zoom back out in this wavelength. That's the past 24 hours. All of our custom HelioViewer movies are. I thought we would zoom back out. Well, maybe not. I stand corrected. Next, a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you might see Mercury rising ahead of the Sun. Venus now, I believe it's still ahead of the Sun, just barely. So if you have a low horizon, you might see that. The third brightest object in the sky. My favorite non-Earth planet, Venus. It's very chemically rich and interesting. Mars there close to the galactic plane, which is this blue line. And let's do a solar system forecast. Keep in mind that it is not to scale. And let's bring your chats back up here. Make sure we scroll through all of those real quick before we do the solar system forecast. And once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. If you don't have a wrench, just request one, and perhaps we'll give you one. Somebody said in yesterday's live premiere chat that it looks like a wrench party, and I didn't get the memo. And since he didn't leave any more comments, he didn't get a wrench either. We're pretty lenient with our wrench giving. If you think being a moderator gives you some kind of powers, it absolutely doesn't really do anything. But it is an indication that you've left comments in the past. Anyway, here's your solar system forecast. Here's where things will be in a week. We will have a gibbous waning moon by that point. Did you see last night the full moon plus Jupiter was pretty spectacular, pretty close together in the sky. Now let's take a look at some coronagraphs, as we've got some great CMEs once again. This is yesterday's imagery. And just this morning we had a very interesting CME consisting of a bubble-like feature and a central mass. Here it is. Great imagery there from LASCO C2. It's not really earthly directed, it's on the far side of the Sun. So let's take a look at some views from Stereo A at Lagrange 5 and the SOHO LASCO C3 at Lagrange 1. So we pause that there at about 8:09 and 8:18 because check it out. That one filament there in the center taking a while to release. And again, it's not only is it off to the southeast, it's on the opposite side of the Sun, so it's nowhere near Earth whatsoever. For you new viewers, the Earth would be off in this direction from Stereo A, and it would be behind you from the SOHO LASCO C3, which is at Lagrangian point 1, about 1 million miles between Sun and Earth. So let's let that play through here. We'll show all of yesterday's data. And if you're wondering what that bright object is there, that is Venus. And here we've got a 24-hour movie also zoomed way out. That's SDO 304 action for the past 24 hours, SOHO LASCO C2 and C3. Oh yeah. The best imagery you'll find anywhere. And the most comprehensive space weather. Next, looking at filaments here, and we still got a lot of filaments, so the likelihood of coronal mass ejections remains at nearly 100%. Sunspots have been underperforming a bit. Remember, folks, you don't need to see solar flares or even sunspots to see coronal mass ejections. All of these dark absorption features here, these are all filaments, and check it out, there are like dozens of filaments at the moment on the earthly facing side. Huge prominences down here, prominences. Again, likelihood of CMEs, nearly 100%. We'll be streaming the Go 16 SUVI all day once again at twitch.tv/smashamash. Here's some additional imagery here as we move toward bonus features segment. That's the last 24 hours and the house favorite wavelength. 171 angstroms. So here's our bonus features segment. We are looking at surface charging hazards here, some significant ones in the Central Pacific Ocean there, caused by low-energy electrons building up on the outsides of spacecraft. There is the GOES electron flux. We saw about 3 times warning levels yesterday, getting to about 3,300 pulse flux units. This is a different measurement. This is actually density. The GOES 16 and GOES 17, they measure the electron flux at the ionosphere layer, the F layer, from their geosynchronous orbits. There's NOAA's forecast, expecting a slight increase there in the electron flux. The green boxes are the forecast. The yellow diamonds are the observation. There's the one-year chart to put it in context. We're sort of on the high end of things here as far as electron flux. That's the past year from Solon.info. And let's take a look at the animation of the ionosphere. There are some big anomalies happening once again. Lots of high-frequency anomalies here. This is the raw vibrational frequency in megahertz. Coming at you a little later than normal today. And here is the anomalygram showing anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. So this is a good point to bring your chats up once again. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. There's enough room for me to appear on the screen as well, so as that plays, let's scroll the chats. Slept in today. I usually get up at 5 o'clock. I didn't get out of bed until 8 o'clock today. Again, lots of high-frequency anomalies happening there. Yes, we just bought some garlic yesterday. Yes, good times. It's a wrench patrol. It's the Mechanics Brigade. That's because we have so many regular viewers, because YouTube doesn't recommend our channel to anybody. If only we put up more propaganda, nonsense, fraud, disinformation, and misinformation, maybe we'd be more promoted. Julie, the frequencies of the ionosphere don't do very much to people down here at the ground level because that's located at 300 kilometers of altitude. So that's space. I mean, 300 kilometers of altitude. The troposphere is this tiny little thin layer down here where all of your weather happens. That stuff is happening at 300 kilometers of altitude. The troposphere ends at about 50,000 feet of altitude. This is 300 kilometers of altitude. Anyway, there's the latest image. That's 1315 Universal Time. Ionogram, 1315 Universal Time. Anomalygram. And we'll also show the total electron content forecast. By the way, there are other versions of this that we might start covering here on the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center. This is just the most basic one in the Space Weather Prediction Center, and there are other versions of this that we may be showing in the future. I was messing around with it last night when I was looking at the Enlil spirals, which don't show the coronal mass ejection. We're expecting to strike late in the day tomorrow on Monday. That's Monday the 10th of October, late in the day, around midnight, up until possibly midday on Tuesday, October 11th. But that's a total electron content forecast. That'll show you the most likely places for GPS errors. We are seeing some anomalies there. You can see some electrons a bit out of place, reaching out toward the poles. And that is a thing that we see regularly during coronal hole high-speed streams, like the one we're having now. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. I want to see if there are sunspots here. So let's take a look, and there certainly are not. At least not at the moment. Those active regions not yielding any sunspots yet. Let's do a close-up of sunspot 3112. Yowzers, that thing is still quite large. That leading number larger than the Earth itself. That's 3112 and 3116. And we've got one more series of images here from SDO for you. This is the yesterday plus today composite, 304, 211, and 171 angstroms. Now, the thing about this one to realize, folks, is that this has 171 angstroms in a different color. This actually shows 171 in blue instead of the gold color. And it shows 211 angstroms in green instead of that rose color that it normally shows 211 angstroms. We usually use 211 for the coronal hole view. So that's just different color management there. Keep in mind the human eye is unable to see any of these colors. These are all portions of the ultraviolet spectrum, which is a higher frequency electromagnetic radiation than what's visible to the human eye. And that signals that it's time for the Smash News Network to move from space to Earth. And what better transition than to view nullschool.net's Auroral Forecast. So there is the Auroral Forecast here from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Those are the likely spots to see the aurora. You might be able to see some in southern Tasmania there, and maybe even southern New Zealand. And then places like Siberia, likely able to see some aurora. Also large portions of Alaska could be seeing the aurora right now. Nullschool.net, it's fantastic. All kinds of features there. Not just wind. Are you watching YouTube channels that blow? Featuring blowhards who don't understand physics? I know there are plenty of those out there. And we apologize for the fraud and nonsense depicted on YouTube. These are like sands through the hourglass of time. These are the surface winds of the eastern side of our planet. These are the jet streams. And they are blowing backward here over the northern Indian Ocean. How about the jet streams of the Americas? We show it daily on the channel. Just more facts to amuse, entertain, and educate you on reality. I'm big on reality and very critical of fakeality. I'm big on reality, small on fakeality. I'm a pragmatist, folks. A pragmatist. You might think I sound negative. That's because there's a lot of crap on the internet. Big tech, they're self-destructing because they think they can control information itself. These are the surface winds of the Western world. Here are the surface winds of the Central world. Strong low pressure there, right on Iceland. You see that counterclockwise rotation there. That is the sign of a low in the northern hemisphere. And last but not least, the jet streams of this side of the planet. There you go. And let's move on to check clouds and fog over the Americas. There's a huge thunderstorm in the central Atlantic Ocean right now. You see this system right here. There must be a huge pressure gradient happening right there because that is producing a ton of lightning right now. That is a 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation interactive satellite there, the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. It's pretty sweet. And let's take a look at some forecasts. So here's your weather.gov map, and it looks like some flood watches there in Texas and New Mexico. If your county's lit, click your county. Freeze warnings there in large portions of Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Looks like a bit of Maryland, and even some North Carolinian freeze warnings there. Also, lots of frost advisories showing up there in blue and purple. Again, if your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. Here's your GFS 72-hour temperature forecast. Some very cold temperatures coming to the Rockies there as well. You can see Colorado making it just around the freezing mark. Again, that's your 72-hour temperature forecast. That is degrees Fahrenheit. We're also going to show the pressure and precipitation forecast here. There you go. That's the same model, the GFS 72-hour forecast for pressure and precipitation. Heavy rains coming to the western portion of Texas. As some snow continues to fall in eastern Canada. Next, I'm going to check out a satellite map here. Give that a minute to initialize. It's well worth it. This is a huge thunderstorm happening right here. Some rowdy lightning going on there. We'll show it in a minute. Just give that a minute to initialize, and let's bring your chats up once again. Again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. We will more quickly scroll to the bottom here since we have so many comments. Of course, when we view the analytics after this video, Google's going to tell us that we had 4 viewers. And if anybody wants their comments read aloud, just leave a super chat and we'll read your comment aloud, no matter what it is. If you want to hear me say the earth is flat and then take me out of context, just leave us a super chat. Brett Farrar, do the anomalies affect much on the surface? They do not. But for that question, you get a wrench. So thanks for leaving a comment, Brett. The website for the winds is nullschool.net. Nullschool.net. It's good times. Yes, science is never settled, folks. Don't just ask the questions. Question the answers. All right, continuing on. We don't want the video to be too long. And here's that lightning storm. Check it out. Major lightning there in the central Atlantic. There must be a massive pressure gradient happening there. And here's a real-time lightning map from blitzachtung.org. Lightningmaps.org is run by blitzachtung.org. And lots of lightning around the Mediterranean there happening at the moment. Here's your U.S. Doppler radar map. There's all 50 states. All 50 states of AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. And we'll focus on the lower 48. One more bonus feature here. I'm going to go back to see if there is indeed a massive pressure gradient there. I suspect that there probably is. It's got a water vapor map here. Where is it? There it is. And indeed, oops, let's get the 100% quality. And you can see all that dry, massive air surrounding that moisture. Huge pressure gradient happening right there. It's an atmospheric waterfall, folks. And that is what happens when you understand the physics. All right, let's continue on here. Again, we don't want the video to be too long. Here's clouds and fog over the lower 48. That's 3.9 nanometer interactive weather satellite. And there is water vapor. Cold air making its way down into Minnesota there. Very cold in northern Minnesota. Look at that little miniature low there making its way down to the south from central Canada. Yowzers. Also cold air rolling into the Dakotas and Montana and so on. This is about where we have to close things out. Let's put your chats up one more time here on the U.S. Doppler radar map. Once again, thanks for all the comments, folks. That is an incredible number of comments. And thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the super chat, Mike. I will read your comment here. All right. I will read that comment in its entirety. So you'll all have the opportunity to record what I say here and take it out of content. Out of context, rather. And, yeah. That was a pretty good one. So, yeah, thanks for the $10 super chat for sure. And everybody, press your record button. Open up your sound recorder app or whatever, and you're going to hear me say something that you'll probably never hear me say at any other time. Here it comes. Are you ready? I love Ben Davidson. The galactic current sheet is truly mystical and can travel 100s of light years. No problem. Thanks again. Thanks again for the super chat, Mike. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, geez, that was well thought out. So here's the rest of your recap. U.S. Doppler radar map. There is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And there is water vapor. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network Least Busted Name and News. It was a delight doing a rare YouTube live stream here. This one is exclusive to YouTube, by the way. This one won't be appearing on BitChute. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to visit our links, press like, subscribe, share, etc. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News.